And now students, let us revise chapter number 8 of civics, that is rural livelihoods. Okay, if you remember in this chapter students, we learnt about the activities, occupations which are done in the rural part of our country so that people can earn money. This is what the term rural livelihoods mean. So let us discuss. So in this chapter, we first learned the story of a village called Kalapattu. Okay, we learned the story of Kalapattu, in which we learned that there are two different kinds of work which happens in Kalapattu, that is work related to farming and non-farming. Okay, any work related to agriculture comes under farming, and any work which is not related to agriculture, it can be making pots, utensils, okay, that will come under non-farming activities. So people at Kalapattu were engaged in both the activities. Okay, they were growing crops, and what was the main crop which was grown in irrigated land? Paddy. Okay, remember that paddy is the main crop. Okay, paddy is the main crop grown in irrigated lands. Now we learned about the three different types of farmers who used to live in Kalapattu. Okay, the three, it depended on how much land they had. So let us discuss that. Was of the landless laborers. Okay, you all know what the term laborer means. It means workers, laborers. Okay, laborers means workers. So we learned the story of Tulsi, in which we saw that the Tulsi used to work in other people's field. Okay, see what were the main characteristics of these landless laborers. First, they had no lands. Very important that they are landless. Okay, in the name itself, it is given landless. People who do not have no land or very few land. Okay, no lands. They work in other people's field where they get very low amount of wage, and they are supposed to work at long hours. So these were the main characteristics. Apart from that, when there is no work in the farm, when there is no work at the farm, what happened? They will be asked to leave. So there was a period of unemployment as well. The workers who were working in the farm of that farmer, when the harvesting is done, when the crop has been harvested, they were asked to leave. So there was a particular time, there was a particular period in a year in which the people were unemployed. They did not have any other work. Okay, remember that 2/5. Okay, that means 2 families out of every 5 rural families, okay, come under landless laborers in India. So basically, out of every 5 families in India, 2 of them will be landless laborers. That means those are the families which do not have their own land, they are landless. Next, we learnt about small farmers. Okay, small farmers. Let's see how they were different. First thing about small farmers, that they had a small plot of land. They used to own small plot of land, okay, and on this land they used to work with the help of family members. Usually their family members would help them to work on this land, and if necessary, friends. Family members plus friends. These were the people who were engaged in the land works. Now, so their land is so small that they cannot totally rely on this. Apart from working on the land, they also had to do some other small works. Some other work also needed to be done so that they can earn enough money. Okay. For example, we learned about Shekhar in this particular story, in which we learned that he works on his land, plus he also works for the rice mill of a large farmer, correct? So these were the small farmers. Now, there was a particular term here that we should discuss, that is debt. Okay, the spelling is D-E-B-T, but the B is silent and you pronounce it as det. What is det? See, small farmers like Shekhar do not have sometimes do not have enough money to work on their own land. Because of that, they take a loan from other farmers, other money lenders or any large farmers. Okay, now they have to repay that loan. They have to repay that loan as well. This was the plight of small farmers like Shekhar. So when the people cannot repay their loan, they get caught in a debt trap. Okay. So now students, we have learned till small farmers and landless laborers. Now there is a particular term in your book called debt. Okay. What is debt? Debt means a loan which is taken from a large farmer or a money lender. Okay. Money which is taken on loan. Okay. What is loan? Basically, you borrow money from someone by the promise that you will return it later. That is loan. Okay. But another term which comes in your chapter is debt trap. Okay. There is debt trap. What is debt trap? Supposedly, what happens to most of the small farmers is that they take a large amount of loan and they are unable to repay it back. Okay, so to repay the first loan, they have to take a second loan. Okay, so the loan gets so much larger that the situation is called debt trap when farmers are unable to pay off their loans. Okay, the farmer gets caught in the debt trap and it's very difficult to come out of it. Now the third type of farmer, okay, after the story of Tulsi and Shekhar, we learned the theory of Ramalingam and Karuthamma, who are large farmers. Now let us see how are they different from the other two. Now see, large farmers, they own large areas of land. Okay, they have huge areas of land on which they hire lots of laborers to work. Okay, because they cannot work on it themselves because it's so large, they have multiple areas of land as well. So they hire other landless laborers and small farmers to work on their land. Another thing, they also own other business. Okay, other businesses are also owned by the large farmers. Now moving on, let's see what else they are. Another thing, they are wealthy. Okay, since they own large amount of businesses and lands, they earn quite a substantial amount of income as well. For example, in the story of Ramalingam and Karuthamma, we learned that apart from land, they also owned a rice mill and lots of shops of pesticides and agricultural seeds. That's why they are able to earn quite a lot of money from their businesses. Okay, so these were the three farmers, okay, landless laborers who do not own their land and work on someone else's land. Then we had small farmers who own some parts of land, small amount of land, and they have to work at some other farm as well for extra money. And then we have large farmers who own large areas of land. Okay, they also own other businesses and they are wealthy. Now we learned the story of Puduppet, which was another village in this chapter. Okay, the difference between now, the next story is of the village Puduppet. Okay, Puduppet primarily is a fishing village. We learned that Kalapattu was an agricultural village because most of the people in that village were involved in agricultural activities. But Puduppet is a coastal village, it is situated near a sea. That is why it is a fishing village. Most of the people are engaged in which activity? Fishing. Okay, they go out to the sea, catch fish and come back and sell them and hence earn money from it. Now, other agricultural activities which are done in fields. Other agricultural activities. See, farming involves a lot of activities which are done to ensure the survival and growth of the crops. Number one is tilling. Okay, then you have sowing, where you sow seeds. Tilling means you dig up the earth, okay, make it porous so that the seeds can go in easily. Then sowings, putting down seeds. Then there is irrigation, giving water. When the plants are grown, you also have to weed the unwanted plants, that is weeding. And finally, after the plants are grown, you have provided them with enough supplements, manure, fertilizers. Then comes harvesting. Okay? So student, this was the revision of our civics chapter. Now, let us discuss the internal question of the chapter. So open your book on page number 70. The first internal question was, why do farmers like Shekhar needs to borrow money? First internal question on page number 70 of civics, why do farmers like Shekhar needs to borrow money? Okay, write the question on the blank space provided in your book above, and the answer is in the paragraph on being in debt. Okay, the paragraph is here, on being in debt. Write the answer, underline it. Shekhar needs to borrow money to purchase basic things like seeds, fertilizers and pesticides. Okay, he needs to borrow money so that he can purchase other stuff which he uses for agriculture, such as seeds, fertilizers and pesticides. Now on page number 73, write the second internal question. On page number 73, on top of your page, write the second internal question, that is, how do people earn their living in Puduppet village? Okay, how do they earn their earnings in Puduppet village? By fishing. So you can write the answer, okay, just 2 words, by fishing. Now let us discuss the copywork of this chapter. So now let us discuss the copywork of chapter number 8, Rural Livelihoods of Civics. Students, I hope you have done this work in your copy. If you have not, then please do so, because these are important questions which will be coming in your exams. Now, question number 1. Why do people migrate? I told you the meaning of this word. Migrate means moving from one place to another. So the question is asking, why do people move from one place to another? Okay, the answer is, people migrate from rural to urban, that is villages to city areas. Why? To find job, okay, to find better job opportunities. They move from villages to cities. Question number 2, which is the main crop that is grown in irrigated lands? Okay, we learned in the village of Kalapattu, okay, which was an agricultural village. What was the main crop? Paddy is the main crop that is grown in irrigated lands. Paddy means rice, okay, which is the main crop which is grown there. What are the shops that Ramalingam's family owns? Ramalingam, the large farmer, if you remember from our story. So what are the shops that he owns and his family owns? In addition to land, okay, he has land. Ramalingam's family owns a rice mill and a shop selling seeds and pesticides. Okay, Ramalingam's family owns a rice mill, a factory where rice is processed, and a shop which sells seeds and pesticides for agricultural purpose. Now, next question. You have probably noticed that people in Kalpattu are engaged in a variety of non-farm work. List any 5 of these. Pay attention here. It is asking non-farm works means work which is not related to agriculture or farming. That is, okay, so what are the activities? Non-farming activities. They are making baskets, utensils, pots, bricks, bullock carts, etc. Teaching, washing clothes, weaving and repairing cycle. See, these are the activities which are different from the work which is done in fields. Okay, that's why they are called non-farm work, because you don't have to do any agricultural works to continue these activity. Next question, what are the important sources of livelihood for the people in rural areas? Okay, important sources of livelihood, that basically means the occupation which people do in rural areas. Now, it is very important question, students. Important source of livelihood, because our entire chapter is based on rural livelihoods. Okay, so it is saying that livelihood for the people in rural areas are the following. Number 1, farming. Okay, mostly rural families are engaged in farming and agricultural activities. Then collection from the forest. They go to the forest to collect woods, berries, medicinal herbs, and they sell it to the traders. Then selling milk to the village cooperative society or taking milk to the nearby town. Most of the rural families are also engaged in dairy farming. That means selling milk and its processed products. Then animal husbandry and fishing. Animal husbandry, it means to rear animals for their products. Now, name activities which poor families do for the household apart from farming. Now, what other activities people do, poor families do apart from farming? Let's see that. Activities which poor family do are collecting firewood. They collect firewood, they get water, getting water, and grazing cattle. Okay, these are the other activities they have to do apart from farming. Question number 7, what do you think the government can do to help farmers like Shekhar when they get into debt? Okay, we learnt in the story that Shekhar is in debt. So what can the government do, what can our government do to help these types of farmers? First, the government can take following measures. What the measures are, let's see. First, it can open agricultural bank to help the farmers get good quality seeds, fertilizers, agricultural equipment, etc. Okay, they can open certain banks which will help farmers. Okay, in what way? They will get them good quality seeds, fertilizers, and agricultural equipments. Now, debt relief schemes can be implemented. Debt relief schemes, okay, something to help the farmers so that their loan can get reduced. Then loan waiver can be given. They can also remove the loan entirely from the farmer. And loan at low interest rates can be provided to the farmers. Okay, usually money lenders and landowners, they charge a very high interest rate on the loan given. So the government can order the bank to charge a lower amount of interest rate on the farmer so that they can find it easy to repay the loan back. Okay, last question. Poor rural laborers do not have access to good medical facilities, good schools, and other resources. Okay, it's a statement that poor laborers, okay, people who work on other people's lands or who are engaged in construction activity, okay, they don't have access to good medical facilities like hospitals and clinics, good schools, and other resources. Do you think this is a fair situation? Do you think that it is right? What do you think can be done to improve their condition? What can we do to improve the condition of the landless laborers? No. Okay, so first we are answering no, that this is not a fair situation. Okay, it's not good that some people are denied basic opportunities. Opportunities should be equal for all. Primary education should be made compulsory. Efforts should be made to promote education among the poor. It will help them to know their rights and get awareness. So we have to provide them with primary education. Okay, they should make it compulsory for everyone to get primary education. Okay, that is the basic understanding of the words and language and alphabets. Okay, efforts should be made by the government to promote education as well, which will help them to know their rights. Okay, what their rights are, what can they do freely in our country, and get awareness so that their awareness can be raised. Okay, so I hope you all learnt well. Make sure that you watch these videos properly and revise the chapters properly. Thank you so much.